Assalamu alaikum. I'm Janatin Tajri, and my partner for this presentation is Shahjamal Islam. And our presentation is on the topic feminism. Feminism has always been a matter of great interest to me. So before we begin, I want to thank our lecturer, Muhammad Mahmudur Rahman sir, for giving me the opportunity to explore this topic academically. Discriminations against women. To understand feminism, we need to have an idea of the discriminations women face on a daily basis. There is sexism, gender stereotypes, occupational sexism, objectification, limited access to higher educations, and so many more discriminations that we cannot encircle all the discriminations in a single slide. And to eradicate these discriminations, feminism arose. Feminists fight against these discriminations to make the society a safe haven for women to live as equal human beings as men. And what is feminism? As we can see here, feminism is a range of socio-political movements and ideologies that aims to establish equality of sexes on many grounds. And to establish this equality, many movements have been sparked by feminists over the years. Now let's know about the feminist movement. Here we can see a picture of a particular feminist movement where there's a lady holding a banner that says "Women of the world unite." This slogan is encouraging women all over the world to unite against the discriminations that are faced by women. Some focuses of these movements include to ensure women's liberation and maternity leave, and to ensure that women are paid equally and they have reproductive rights and the right to vote, which is also known as women's suffrage, and to save women from domestic violence and sexual violence or sexual harassment. Now let's know about the waves of feminism. Scholars and historians often divide the feminist movements into 4 waves. First wave of feminism, rooted in the late 19th and the early 20th centuries, is closely related to the women's suffrage movement, as it focused primarily on legal inequalities. In contrast, second wave feminism was mainly active in the 1960s and 70s and focused on inequalities embedded in social norms more than laws. The third wave began in the United States. Third wave feminists embraced diversity and individualism in women and sought to redefine what it meant to be a feminist. And here comes the fourth wave of feminism. We are currently living in this wave, and it began around 2012. The use of internet is the key factor of this movement. The internet gave women the opportunity for their voice to be heard around the world in a matter of seconds. As women all over the world began sharing their personal stories, they realized the magnitude of the problem and how it was happening everywhere. This wave is best known for the Me Too movement. Here's a glimpse of the Me Too movement. The phrase Me Too was initially used by a sexual assault survivor and activist, Tarana Burke, and later millions of people used it as a manner of hashtag. And the purpose of Me Too is to empower sexually assaulted people through empathy and solidarity by visibly demonstrating how many have experienced sexual assault and harassment, especially in their workplaces. Now let's see the contributions of feminism. The feminist movement have brought about salient changes primarily in the Western society, like giving women voting rights, access to education, or right to work with more nearly equitable pay with men, and many more. But the painful reality is that inequality and discrimination exist not only in the developed countries, but also in the developing countries, like our country. We all know that Bangladesh is a developing country, which is also known as a third world country. So feminism is Bangladesh is different from Western feminism. And let's know what feminism is like in Bangladesh. Western culture does not fit into our country, and nor does Western feminism. And so Bangladesh has produced feminism of its own, which is completely detached from the West. We all know Begum Rokeya and her literary works. She wrote many revolutionary books expressing her feminist thoughts. Like in the book Sultana's Dream by Rokeya Sakhawat Hossain, she showed that a wonderful, equal, women-directed utopian feminist world is possible. In her book, Sultana's struggle for existence and her work for women's emancipation is an example of feminism. Yet we know that Rokeya had no Western education, nor was she aware of Western feminism, nor acquainted with white feminists. Yet she is one of the prominent feminist figures in Bangladesh. There are some notable women organizations of Bangladesh, like Bangladesh Mohila Samiti, Mohila Ainjibi Samiti, etc. And Bangladesh, in a way, encourages female leadership. We know that Khaleda Zia was elected the country's first female prime minister, and she was replaced by Sheikh Hasina, who maintains the prime minister's office at present, making Bangladesh the country with the longest female premiership. There's the picture of two female leaders in Bangladesh. And the first one is of Sheikh Hasina. She is the Prime Minister of Bangladesh. And the second one is of Dipu Moni. She is the Minister of Education of Bangladesh. Lastly, we can say that women's movement in Bangladesh has no doubt been influenced by Western feminism. But women of Bangladesh are striving to secure the women's goals and women's causes in a way more suited under the local conditions. Now, the rest of this presentation will be presented by my partner, Shah Jamal Islam. Jamal, you may take it from here.
Some Bangladeshi feminist, Begum Rokeya, she is considered as the pioneer of women's liberation, established the first school aimed primarily at Muslim girls of Kolkata, expressed her feminist thoughts in her literature. Nurunnahar Faizunnesa, a Bangladeshi feminist and social activist, first elected female member of Dhaka University Syndicate. She helped establish women's studies as a subject of the University of Dhaka. Kamini Roy, one of the leaders of Bongo Nari Samaj, an organization formed to fight for women's suffrage, a member of Female Labour Investigation Commission. Why we still need feminism? There are some people who believe that women have already gained enough equality as men and the world no longer needs feminism. But that's not true, because still today women earn 82 cents for every dollar a man makes. Less than 20% of the seats in Congress are held by women. FGM is still practiced in 29 countries. Women are still being objectified, sexually assaulted and harassed, and such discrimination goes on and on. So we can conclude that although there have been great strides towards equality, women and men are far from flying on the same field. It is great so many women today feel like they have equal opportunities as men. If it wasn't for first feminism movement, who knows where they would be today. But we still need feminism, and will continue to need it until every other woman in the world feels this way as well. International Women's Day, 8th March. International Women's Day is a global holiday celebrated annually on March 8 to commemorate the cultural, political, and socioeconomic achievements of women. It is also a focal point in the women's rights movement, bringing attention to issues such as gender equality, reproductive rights, and violence and abuse against women. International Women's Day is commemorated in a variety of ways worldwide. It is a public holiday in several countries and observed socially or locally in others to celebrate and promote the achievements of women. Impacts of feminism. Impact on sociology. The paper investigates the impact of feminism on British sociology over the last 60 years. It focuses on change in the intellectual content of the discipline, including epistemology, methodology, theory, concepts, and the fields of economy, polity, violence, and the civil society. Impact on politics. Feminism is a relatively new force in politics. It addresses the underlying assumption that make politics a male-dominated discipline and seeks to improve the position of women within it. Effects on society. The feminist movement has effected change in Western society, including women's suffrage, greater access to education, more equitable pay with men, the right to initiate divorce proceeding, the right of women to make individual decisions regarding pregnancy, and the right to own property. Impact on education. Feminists believe that education is an agent of secondary socialization that helps to enforce patriarchy. They look at society on a macro scale. They want to generalize their ideas about males and females to the whole of society. Impact on economy. Women play a critical role in driving economic development throughout the world. According to an April 2006 article in The Economist, the increase in female employment has been the main driving force of economic growth in the last few decades. Empowering women economically can lift entire families and communities out of poverty. Women in poor countries are more likely than men to spend their income on food, education, and healthcare for their children, creating powerful, positive, and measurable benefits to society. Some terms concerning feminism. Liberal feminism. It is also called mainstream feminism. It is main branch of feminism defined by its focus on achieving gender equality through political and legal reform within the framework of liberal democracy. Radical feminism. This perspective within feminism calls for a radical reordering of society in which male supremacy is eliminated in all social and economic contexts. Marxist feminism. It is philosophically variant of feminism that analyzes the ways in which women are exploited by capitalism and the individual ownership of private. True feminism. True feminism is the support of feminism without implying that the supporter is a member of the feminist movement. The term is most often used in reference to men who are actively supportive of feminism. Anti-feminism. It is the criticism and opposition of feminism in some or all of its forms. Post-feminism. It came after the feminism of the 1960s and subsequent decades. In particular, moving beyond or rejecting some of the ideas of feminism is out of date. Secular humanism. Secular humanism is an ethical framework that attempts to dispense with any unreasoned dogma and superstition, pursue do science. There are some references. Feminism Wikipedia, Feminism Banglapedia, UN Women Timeline, Women of the World Unite, Sexism Wikipedia. Thank you for watching this slide.